Hi everyone, this is MSY's Research Notes. Yesterday I've talked about the acceptance of my research in the international conference which is called the ACTA. And today I initially planned to read some other essays about in relation to my own research. But then I felt that my time is really limited and due to the fever that I have introduced in my previous videos, I'm still not feeling quite well today, and today I spend most of the time outside of the university because I applied to a new bank card, called a Visa card, to pay for the conference fee. So this is generally what I do today, and you can see that I generally spend the whole night writing about my essay. So today I didn't really leave enough time for some intensive reading. And actually I plan to finish my essay probably in April or at the very beginning of the next month. So I hope that I can spend most of the time, or I can totally delve into my essay. So probably in a recent month, I think I'm feeling very hard to do the intensive reading. But now I'm writing about the literature review part, and absolutely in this part, I have to read various articles because I have to at least make my literature review, how to say, to expand the coverage of my literature review, and well, and I think what is quite unique in my literature review is that it not only focuses on foreign language enjoyment or some other kind of emotional constructs, it also focuses on other various aspects of education or pedagogical approach. For example, I need to find essays about the vocal expressions of emotions, not only positive emotions, but also like negative ones. So these kind of essays are, to some extent, not very popular or well known, especially in the current foreign language enjoyment essays. So you can hardly find some essays which can directly provide a kind of structure for you to write your literature review, and you will also feel very hard to organize different literatures from different domains. So this is basically the work that I'm doing now. And today, also, I've spent like more than 5 days or 4 days or 5 days organizing the overall structure of the third chapter of the literature review part. And tonight, I have already, reached a kind of final version of the third chapter of the literature review, which is also the last chapter. And today I'll then focus on the third chapter, or the overall structure of the third chapter in my essay. So this chapter, even though I still do not have a kind of subtitle of this chapter, I personally want to call it foreign language enjoyment's dynamic feature and its measurement, or foreign language enjoyment, dynamicity and measurements. So you can see, no matter what the titles are, I'll focus on two different aspects. The first is the dynamic feature of FLE, and the second one is how to measure this kind of emotional construct, especially as a kind of dynamic emotion or the state emotion instead of a trait emotion. So my overall structure is as follows. So firstly, I need to say that foreign language enjoyment is a dynamic construct, and the definition of dynamic construct varies across different essays. You can regard dynamic construct as a kind of emotion that can change across a broader time scale, or for example, it can change over months or over years. So this is one definition of dynamic. And generally, in the current essays, researchers generally use questionnaires or surveys or other existing methods to capture the changes of FLE over months or over years or across age groups, just like the pseudo-longitudinal experiment that we have introduced in our previous videos. And the second definition of dynamic feature is that FLE can fluctuate on a moment-to-moment scale, or it can just change in a very short period of time, probably minutes to minutes, or even seconds to seconds. So you can see that there are two definitions, and the present study will focus on the second definition, which emphasizes that FLE will fluctuate in a very short period of time, and FLE can be triggered by some classroom behaviors, whether conducted by the teachers or the classmates. So based on this dynamic features definition, we will then explain what methods did the existing studies use to capture its fluctuations. And generally, we have several different methods. The first is ideodynamic methods, created by Professor McIntyre and other professors. And second is a kind of an ecological assessment. I cannot remember the name precisely, but it's a kind of a method that can also capture the moment-to-moment fluctuations of FLE. So after introducing those methods, I will directly point out the gaps of the existing methods, which is those dynamic features focused on individual levels. It focuses on the changes of a single person. Just take ideodynamic measure as an example. You can see that the researchers analyzed each participant. So this kind of dynamic feature is tested or measured on an individual level. But in our essay, in our experiment, we have to analyze this kind of fluctuations in an overall classroom. So it's impossible to use like electrode, which is a kind of technique or a sensor that is used in the ideodynamic measures. So it's absolutely impossible to give every student this kind of equipment and analyze more than 800 participants one by one. It's simply impossible. So we absolutely need to find a way to capture the dynamic features in an overall classroom. And generally, I think probably now or the researchers have already designed some proper methods, just like what I've introduced, like a kind of ecological method. But we have to say that this kind of ecological method, to some extent, it is very complicated. And generally, there is only one methodology in an essay. So it's also impractical for us to conduct ecological method in our essay as a kind of way of collecting data, because we have already used questionnaires, we have already used interviews. So if we use another very complicated method, it's impossible for us to conduct this experiment. And more importantly, our purpose in this current essay is to find the correlations between behaviors, just some teaching behavior that we designed. And we want to find the associations between those behaviors and the fluctuations of foreign language enjoyment. So if we use ideodynamic measures, or if we use ecological assessments, I think it's very hard to achieve such kind of experimental purpose, because it is not designed for our study. And it's it's hard to say that foreign language enjoyment fluctuations can be associated with the behavior just conducted before it. So we absolutely have to capture the fluctuations of FLE just behind or just after every single behavior that has been conducted by the teachers. So based on this kind of purpose, we had to design a kind of new way of collecting the fluctuations of FLE, especially together capturing the pedagogical behaviors that has been conducted by the teachers or the near peer teachers. So this is what we plan to do. And you can see that after introducing the different definitions, after saying the existing methods, and after pointing out the gaps of the existing methods, we then directly point out the necessity of utilizing vocal signals or audio-based vocal signals. But such signals cannot be directly linked to foreign language enjoyment. Firstly, we have to prove the legitimacy of vocal expression as an outlet of emotion. So firstly, we have to say that when people experience different emotions, they would have different kind of vocal expressions. And those vocal expressions would include verbal expressions and nonverbal ones. And after introducing this part, we will then move to the classrooms. And in the classrooms, when students or when learners experience some kind of emotions, they will have some kind of expressions. And some expressions in the classroom can reflect some emotions. It's a kind of mutual direction. You can regard it as a kind of mutual directional interaction. So emotions can result to some expressions, and some expressions can reflect emotions. And that is one of the reasons why we choose to focus on expressions, to capture or reflect what the students are thinking or their emotions in their minds. So this is like a broad classroom in a broad domain of education. And then we move from classroom to second language classrooms. You can see that this is like playing the game of what's the name of the game? PRGB, or it's just like a battlefield. I don't know whether you're familiar with the game. There is a safety zone, and that kind of safety zone is constantly contracting, and the warriors or the soldiers who finally survive will win the game. Probably that the game's name is PUBG. Okay, PUBG. I remember that. So you can see that this is also the same in our literature review. We're constantly narrowing our context from emotions to emotions in classrooms, then to emotions in second language learning classrooms. So you can see that we are trying to provide a theoretical legitimacy to the expressions, to the associations, with emotions and expressions. And after doing all those things, we will move to, excuse me, we'll move to the next part, which is, let me think. Let me think. Well, by the way, I don't know, you can hear the sound of the rain, because today I went to the library and there was no appropriate place for me to record this video. So even though it's raining outside, I'm standing in some kind of garden. I don't know whether to call it this kind of garden or just some green land here, grassland. I'm standing here to record this video. I'm not sure whether you can hear the raindrop beating my umbrella. Probably you can hear that. So I think the next part would probably be the relationship between our signals and FLE, because like what we have discussed are some broad emotions instead of this kind of narrow ones or this specific foreign language enjoyment. So how should we link our vocal signals directly to FLE, and or to put it in another way, how to prove that our vocal signals can capture FLE instead of other positive emotions, just like for example, like pride or achievement or simply joy. So it's a very important part to prove that our signals is designed, or our signals, we should say that our signals are derived from FLE theories and other theories about vocal expressions and emotions. You can see that ideally we will, based on the existing theories, to propose a new set of vocal signals to capture FLE. Just because we based on FLE's definition or other theories in relation to FLE, we propose this propose this set of vocal signals. Therefore, theoretically, it can capture or at least reflect students' foreign language enjoyment level. Well, so this is the last part of the chapter 3, and this is one of the most difficult parts, because how to organize those essays, especially FLE essays, and how to, based on those essays, to propose the signals are something that we need to consider. Well, at the very beginning, before our experiment, I did this by utilizing control value theory, by utilizing some other essays, and I have discussed this set of vocal signals together with artificial intelligence and with our tutor, and also with some senior students, some doctor students, and some postgraduate students. We generally agree that this set of vocal signals can reflect foreign language enjoyment, but we have to say that generally, most of them raised the question that what is your theoretical foundation, or based on which theory did you propose this set of vocal signals, or just vocal or audio-based signals? So this is the question that has been haunting me for more than 4 months. Yeah, for more than 4 months. So I'm still trying to find some essays, theories to support this set of vocal signals. But even if I could find some proper essays and theories, I have to say that this is a kind of exploratory experiment. It means that just like some other new methodologies. This is a kind of exploratory one, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it can achieve some universal result that other people can replicate. And we have already thought about this question, and to put this into consideration, we also added some interviews with subsamples to further support the results of these vocal signals. So probably I think based on enough or solid essays and theories, and based on some interviews, I think these methods can be accepted by the academia. And this is just like my structure, or my logic structure of the third chapter of of literature review. And you can also hear that I'm still coughing, so I need to drink some water. And this is basically what we have today. And tomorrow, I think I'll continue writing my literature review, and I will spend most of the time doing this. So just like what I've said at the very beginning, I probably do not have enough time doing some intensive reading about other articles. So I will just introduce my current essays to all of you, and introduce the theories that I have already used. So this is my plan, and I will introduce the theories to all of you instead of only focusing on my own essay. And I think introducing other theories, especially those well-known theories, to you, and also introducing them to myself is also a way of making progress. But I have to say that retelling my own structure is also a great way to help me find a clear structure, or remind me of what I do or what I haven't do, or what I haven't done. So I think this is also probably a way of making progress in academic writing. I have to say that there are various ways of doing this, and I mean, probably after finishing this essay, I could have relatively larger time to do some intensive reading about other articles. So hopefully I can continue doing intensive reading after this. All right, so this is what we have today, and this is MSY's research notes. See you tomorrow. Good night.